New York Giants fans, I have one question for you. If you changed Arch Manning's name to Arthur Mangled, would all of you want to draft him so bad? Better question is, what game have you seen from Arch Manning that lets you know that he is worth not only the top pick overall, but tanking not only one, but possibly 2 seasons from him? I'm Coach Gene Clemons, and I have a giant issue. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. New York Giants on SI. That is where you get all of your New York Giants news and information from. Make sure you go there, all that jazz. And then make sure you subscribe to the New York Giants on SI YouTube channel. Like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, all that good stuff so that you are up to date with everything we're doing over there. Anytime I drop a new Giant issue, Paul Dottino and his Big Blue Breakdown, and so much more. I don't have anything against Arch Manning. It's not that I don't believe that he can be a good quality quarterback in the NFL. I just don't have any proof of it yet. I think that what we've seen so far from Arch Manning is a guy who is more hype than anything else, right? Like, we say that about a lot of people. We put that all hype on many people, but the Arch Manning story has been a lot of hype, and it's been a lot of hype because of his last name. We can just be honest about it. It's funny because I made the comment on X or Twitter or whatever you wanted to call it, that the conversation about Arch Manning was just ridiculous, and it spawned hundreds of thousands of comments, right? The engagement on it was crazy. You want to know why? Because whenever you mention something about Manning and you're not bending over backwards to glaze on them, people just immediately assume that you're being negative or that you're hating or that you missed it. But I can honestly tell you guys, like, I've been doing this thing for a very long time. I know how to identify talent. And I don't see anything out of Arch Manning right now, as we speak, that tells me that he should be somebody that I am looking at not only as a franchise savior, but as somebody that I would have to then ballerize the next 1, maybe 2 years, maybe more of my team's existence in order to get. I haven't seen anyone like that. I haven't seen any quarterback like that since Cam Newton, since Lamar Jackson. That's the list. That's it. Lamar Jackson, Cam Newton. Those are the only 2 names of players who were so different, who were so dynamic, who were so transformational that I felt like you should move heaven and earth to get them on your team. That's it. None of these other guys, not even the guys who I think are the best quarterbacks that are coming out this year. Just for the record, because all of you who follow and have listened to this podcast know, I believe Shedeur Sanders is the most pro-ready quarterback of the last 10, maybe even 20 years, right? There's a chance that by the time it's said and done with Arch Manning, he might be in that list of pro-ready, right? Of the most pro-ready. Why? Because there are different things that come with being pro-ready. The number one is the money. Money changes everybody. And you know what Shedeur Sanders doesn't have to worry about changing him? Money. Because Shedeur Sanders has always been rich. Well, his father has always been rich. And since he got to college, Shedeur Sanders has been rich. Without his dad, Shadur Sanders alone has made millions upon millions of dollars. So when he gets to the NFL, the money doesn't change his work ethic. Why? Because he had the money before he got to the NFL. That's something that a lot of people can't say. That's something, by the way, that a lot of minority quarterbacks can't say. But it is something that we're used to seeing from quarterbacks that come from more affluent areas. So Arch Manning will get to the NFL and not have to worry about money. He won't get to the NFL and be all of a sudden awestruck by the money. The second part is fame. Fame is different than money, right? Notoriety, people knowing who you are, people understanding what you bring to the table. Shadur Sanders will not enter the NFL and become any more famous than he already is. Why? Because he's already probably the most famous person in college football right now. He's one of the most recognizable faces in college football right now. He is really good looking. That matters. Shadur Sanders is not going to have any trouble pulling, right? Because Shadur Sanders has been a good looking, intelligent, well-spoken black man his entire life. Arch Manning is in Texas. Arch Manning is a Manning. Arch Manning will come in and not have to worry about the notoriety getting to him, like the fact that he's all of a sudden going to be more well known. No, they already know who he is. People are already talking ridiculously about tanking for 1 to 2 seasons to take him, right? So he's already got that down. Here's the difference between what Shadur Sanders and what Cam Ward have done as opposed to what Arch Manning has done. Shadur Sanders started as a freshman and took his team to a title game, took his team to the conference championship victory and then a title game as a freshman. Cam Ward came in as a freshman and won FCS Freshman of the Year, if I'm not mistaken. Both of those two players, right, fall in those lines. So then Shadur Sanders ran it back the second year as a starter, broke all kinds of records, right? Set all types of records. He did it underneath a different offensive coordinator than he had his freshman year. They won the conference championship again and went to the bowl game. After that, he transferred and went up a level, not to a powerhouse where everything was set and everything was perfect. He went to a rebuild project of one of the worst FBS teams in all of Power 5 or Power 4 now. And he got it popping there. He broke records there. He put himself as one of the best, if not the best, quarterback in all the land there. Arch Manning has done nothing of the sort. Well, he went to Texas, so he had to wait behind. What does that matter? Nobody told him to go to Texas. He decided to go to Texas knowing that there was a quarterback there in front of him, knowing that he wasn't going to be able to usurp that quarterback. And then when the quarterback got hurt and he had an opportunity to prove that you probably shouldn't go back to that quarterback, you know what he did? He played okay. He played okay versus bad competition. He played bad versus bad competition. Then he played okay versus bad competition. And he was right back to the bench. He had his opportunity as a sophomore to take the reins over, to just snatch the job away. He wasn't able to do it. So unless he spends 3-4 more years in college, he's never going to have the experience as a starter that Shadur Sanders has. Unless all of a sudden the coaching staff there gets fired, he's never going to have the experience of working for multiple offensive coordinators on a year in, year out basis like Shedeur Sanders has. Shedeur Sanders, in his 4 years at Colorado, it's 4 years in college, 2 at Jackson State, 2 at Colorado. In his 4 years, he's had 4 different offensive coordinators who ran 4 distinctly different styles of football. Remember, his junior year, his first year at Colorado, their offensive coordinator was pace and speed and how many reps and how quick can we do it, and everything was go, 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 go. This year, he plays for a former NFL head coach, offensive coordinator, runs a pro style of offense. Way, way different. 4 coordinators in 4 years. Arch Manning is going to be cocooned under the same regime his entire time at Texas, learning the same things his entire time at Texas, getting the best recruits that the University of Texas money can buy. I don't care what anyone has to say. The Colorado money does not stretch as long as the University of Texas money does. And yet, Shedeur Sanders, without the best offensive line in the world, without the best defense in the world, without a legitimate, sustained, quality running game, was able to get it popping and put his team in striking distance to be successful going forward. And yet people think you should bypass Shedeur Sanders to wait for the potential of what Arch Manning might be, not what he is, because what he is right now is a lesser version of Jalen Milroe, an athletic guy who has arm talent, who's still trying to figure it out as a passer. An athletic guy who has otherworldly arm talent in Jalen Milroe, who is still inconsistent as a passer. Arch Manning's not the athlete that Jalen Milroe is, never will be. He doesn't have the body of Jalen Milroe. He never will have it. And he doesn't have the natural God-given arm talent of a Jalen Milroe. He never will have it. But they seem to be very similar in the trying to work out and get better as passers. And you're telling me that Arch Manning's a better prospect than Jalen Milroe because his last name is Manning? Do we want nice things as New York Giants fans? Do we want to win as New York Giants fans? Or do we want nostalgia as New York Giants fans? What's to say that if Arch Manning came out and this situation in New York continues to be what it is? What's to say, or who's to say, that Arch Manning might not pull an Eli Manning and go, I don't want to go to New York. It's a mess over there. They don't seem like they know what they're doing. What if Arch Manning does to New York what Eli Manning did to San Diego? Now what? But you're telling me that you're willing to bypass a quarterback, even though, in my opinion, and it's only my opinion, Shedeur Sanders is the most pro-ready quarterback that has come out in the last 10 to 20 years. You're willing to bypass that? You're willing to bypass a Cam Ward who has all the physical gifts as a thrower, who has played in 3 different offenses in college, who has had success at 2 different P5 schools as a quarterback. He was balling at Washington State. And now he's balling at Miami. And I hear people on X say, oh, well, I want to see Cam Ward versus better competition. Well, he went from the FCS, then he went to a Power 5 school in the Pac-12 and went up against a top 10 Oregon and a top 10 Washington and a top 20 Oregon State, all in the same year. He took on the defensive backfield of Colorado, which was one of the best in the nation, right? With arguably the best football player in the nation on it. He did all of that stuff as a junior, but now he still has more to prove. But we see Arch Manning make one run in a game versus a team they were better than. He runs around the edge. He runs into someone and dives in the end zone. And all of a sudden, off that play, that's who the Giants should just forego the 2025 season and possibly even the 2026 season to secure? Doesn't make any sense. It's foolhardy. It's ridiculous to think that. We have not seen anything from Arch Manning. You pull up the one video from the one game footage that tells you without a shadow of a doubt that Arch Manning is going to be the best quarterback prospect in his draft class whenever it is he decides to come out. Because the two games that he started, one was against Louisiana Monroe, where he stunk. The second was against Mississippi State, who stinks. That was his best game. So Cam Ward has to do it against better competition, but Arch Manning doesn't. We're just ready to tank for him. See, this is the type of stuff where I say it doesn't make any sense. And I wonder what the goal is of New York Giants fans. Because I hear so many talk as if they want to win. But I feel like a lot of them just want to win how they want to win. I heard people comparing Shedeur Sanders and Cam Ward to Geno Smith. Neither one of those players have anything in common with Geno Smith. Neither one of them. And yet somehow they're being compared to Geno Smith. Shedeur Sanders, if you want to comp Shedeur Sanders, look at Joe Burrow. More athletic than you think, arm talent better than you think, accuracy is ridiculous, ability to extend the play, and knows how to play with anybody. Only difference is that Shedeur Sanders did it for 4 years in college, and Joe Burrow only had one good season with all of the talent in the history of man around him. Defensively, offensively, offensive line. That's the comp. That's the thought process. Right? Like, stop trying to comp in ways that are disrespectful to the players. And here's the thing. If Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders were the equivalents of Geno Smith, that's infinitely better than the quarterback situation that's with the Giants right now. We know now that the mistake was made by the Jets not allowing Geno Smith the opportunity to grow into the position. We know it was a mistake now. We've seen enough to know it. You think Geno Smith had to spend all these years in the NFL to figure out how to play in the NFL? No, it was opportunity. He sat behind waiting for opportunity, not learning how to play. He was just waiting. He got more mature, yes. But he would have gotten more mature if you let him have the run that Daniel Jones has had. I guarantee you it wouldn't have taken that long. Now, again, Daniel Jones is gone. So all of that is a moot point. But if your ability to base the facts are on, well, these guys might be like Geno Smith, cool. You've got a top 15 quarterback in the league. Who doesn't sign up for that? Geno Smith, since being with the Seahawks, have made them a relevant football team after Russell Wilson left. They're in playoff contentions. How is that not a good thing? But this idea that we should be selling out, that teams should be tanking or looking at changing around their strategy for getting a quarterback so that they would go for Arch Manning in 2026 or even 2027, When you need help right now, oh, well, let's go out and get Travis Hunter and get a bridge quarterback and go that direction. Hey, guess what happens when you get Travis Hunter in and you bring all those draft picks in, right? And then you go out and get a bridge quarterback. You go out and get a Jameis Winston. You want to know what happens? You win too many games to try to go and get an Arch Manning if you think Arch Manning is going to be the best quarterback in the draft. That's why you have to strike when the iron's hot if you really and truly believe in a quarterback. Now, if they don't believe in Shedeur Sanders, if they don't believe in Cam Ward, then don't draft him, right? Don't draft him. But then you have to watch as because they drop in the draft from the places that they should have gone, they end up with better teams. And the better teams then take advantage of all of that, and you have the results that you have. Like these are the pitfalls that you take if you haven't done so just now. Like these are the things that you have to worry about when you don't choose the best talent for the position of need that everybody has decided is the most important in the NFL. You can't play fantasy. You can't play fantasy football in real life and go out and get somebody just because it's named, just because it sells tickets. Not if you're trying to win football games. So with all due respect to Eli Manning and Peyton Manning and Archie Manning and Cooper Manning and any other Manning that might exist out there, until we see Arch Manning as a legitimate starting quarterback in college, I don't want to hear about him as a pro. I don't want to hear about the thought processes of what he can do if he gets the job. You want to know why? Because nobody's drafting Arch Manning right now with a high draft pick. If Arch Manning had the ability to come out right now, Arch Manning is a developmental prospect that shouldn't get taken with anything earlier than a third-day pick. And if you do, you're just taking him for the name. You're not taking him because he deserves it. Ladies and gentlemen, that's another edition all the time we had today. New York Giants on that side. That's where you get all of your New York Giants news and information. Make sure you go there, hang out, all that jazz. Hit the subscribe button to come join us on this journey. Until next time, I'm Coach Gene Clemons, and I have a giant issue.